Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the main event. Coming all the way from the small town of Springwood, the man with the bladed hand, your favorite dream invader, Freddy Krueger. And making his way here all the way from the bottoms of the depths of the Crystal Lake, you have the man with the machete, the man with the hockey mask, Jason Voorhees. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, are you ready? Place your bets and get ready for the ultimate death match of all time. Let's get ready to review! So Freddy vs. Jason tells the story of our favorite dream invader. He is stuck in hell. Nobody in Springwood remembers who he is. Nobody fears Freddy anymore, rendering him powerless. But he finds help in the form of everyone's favorite Crystal Lake killer, Jason Voorhees. He unleashes hell on Springwood, Ohio in the form of Jason, gets everybody to remember who he is, gets everybody to spread the fear once again. But when Jason gets a little bit too machete happy and starts taking out all of the victims and leaving Freddy powerless to stop him, it leads to one of the greatest death matches that we have ever seen in cinematic history. Now, Freddy vs. Jason is a movie that horror fans have been salivating for years. This is a movie that had been teased so many times, all the way back to Jason Goes to Hell at the very end of the movie when Freddy's glove came up and pulled Jason's mask down into hell. From that moment on, everybody kept asking the question daily, when is Freddy vs. Jason coming? When is Freddy vs. Jason coming? When the fuck is Freddy vs. Jason coming? Lucky for us, in 2003, the answer to that question finally came. Now, bitches, Freddy is finally going to fight Jason on the big screen. And this was a movie that, I was 13 years old whenever the trailer for this came out. I remember being in 7th grade, sitting in the computer in a computer lab, and just on a whim one day, I decided to search Freddy vs. Jason, and little did I know that the movie was actually already done. It was already had a website live. They already had a trailer. And when the website came up, you could not even believe the excitement that I saw. I put my headphones in, I looked around to make sure there weren't no teachers around, and I watched that trailer like 17 times in a row. I was ecstatic about this movie. From the time I watched that trailer until weeks after I saw the movie, it was nothing but Freddy vs. Jason. I was online searching plot details. I was on forums giving my thoughts on what was going to happen. I was obsessed with this movie whenever it was a big thing back in 2003. But it's been 14 years since this movie came out. And even though I loved it as a 13-year-old kid, and I'd rewatched it a few times since then, it's been a long time since I've actually revisited this movie, at least 4 or 5 years. But in preparation for this review, I popped it in. So does my excitement, does my acclaim, does my love for Freddy vs. Jason still exist as strong as it was back in 2003? You're damn right it does. I mean, let's be honest, people. Let's cut through the bullshit right now. Is Freddy vs. Jason a flawless film? Is it this huge masterpiece, this huge feat in cinematic filmmaking? Is it ever going to be hailed as one of the greatest films of all time? No. But as a slasher fan, as a Freddy fan, as a casual Friday the 13th fan, does it deliver everything that I would want from a movie where Freddy fights Jason? To me, yes. So starting off with the positives, let's talk about Ronnie Yu for a second. This is the man that directed this movie. He's the one who directed Bride of Chucky preceding this, which is still my favorite Chucky movie of that entire franchise, and I'm a huge Chucky fan. Just behind Freddy, he's my second favorite horror icon of all time, and I loved everything he did with Bride of Chucky, the way that he really paid respect to the characters, the lore of the earlier movies, and also had this great blend of comedy and horror and really creative kills. I think he brought all of that over into Freddy vs. Jason, maybe even amplified in Freddy vs. Jason, because he has a lot more freedom, a lot more fun to be had with this movie than he did with Bride of Chucky. To me, he really understood how to make this movie work, because this is a concept that can go horribly wrong if done bad. To me, he really knew how to blend this entire universe together, to have Freddy fans given what they want, to have Jason fans given what they want, to really have these guys come together in a fight that makes the third act memorable, that makes the first 2 acts a great build up to this ultimate confrontation, have a lot of fun along the way, and just have a great, fun summer slasher movie. All of those things are present in this to me. Now, being we're talking about this movie in the Nightmare on Elm Street review series, let's talk about Freddy, because Freddy is one of the biggest positives of this movie. This is the classic Robert Englund Freddy. This is the only other movie, aside from Dream Warriors, that finds that great balance between scary, dark, evil Freddy and comedic one-liner Freddy.
You're the one that killed
Oh, don't worry about my little errand, boy. The only thing to fear is fear himself.
To me, they do a great job, especially in the opening of this movie, telling a little bit of the backstory of Freddy, all the way up into the first few times you actually see Freddy getting ready to take out a teenager before he's powerful enough, to the first nightmare where he's actually back into the boiler room. They do a great job at bringing back that dark, evil, menacing Freddy that I love and have been waiting for a return from since the third movie.
Not strong enough yet. Well, I will be soon enough. Until then, I'll let Jason have some fun.
But they also have some of the best Freddy one-liners in the entire series. I'm not going to put them above Dream Warriors by any means, but definitely since Dream Warriors, these are the best Freddy one-liners that you will see in this entire franchise.
How sweet. Dark meat.
Another big positive to me is actually the story. A story shouldn't be that important in a slasher movie where you have two horror icons just going at each other, but it is important to make you believe how the hell these two characters even met in the first place, and the way that they decided to use the lore of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise involving Hypnosil and involving the fear giving Freddy his powers. All of that, the way that they incorporated that to make Freddy actually approach Jason and to use Jason as a pawn, because Jason is one of those characters that could be easily used as a pawn, to me was brilliant. I can't think of another way that you could bring those two characters together and have it make more sense.
Make them remember me, Jason. Make them remember what fear tastes like!
I've been away from my children for far too long.
Now this is a slasher movie at the end of the day, so let me talk about the kills, which is another huge positive of this movie for me, because this movie is carnage, candy, blood and gore, guts everywhere, from the beginning all the way to the final frame, and it is awesome. Even one of my favorite kills of any slasher movie ever is in Freddy vs. Jason, when Jason first shows up and stabs the dude to death through the mattress and then folds him in half. Love it! Because let's be honest, as awesome as it's going to be to see Freddy and Jason hacking at each other, you gotta have some teenagers killed along the way, and I just feel like they brought a lot of creativity and a lot of satisfaction with how crazy they went and how creative they went with some of the kills in this. It was a really cool breath of fresh air to me. It was unexpected because you would almost expect Freddy vs. Jason to be just Freddy and Jason going at it the entire runtime, but they found a way to give those classic slasher elements because at the end of the day, this is a slasher film. Now, speaking of teenagers getting slaughtered, all of the teenage characters in this, I feel like are better than average for a big slasher movie like this. You expect teenagers in movies like this to really suck. You expect the acting to be terrible. You expect to want them all to die. And although there is one or two characters like that in this movie, it's just a part of the slasher genre. You can never get away from it. A lot of the characters to me are better than average, especially Monica Keena. I feel like if she got a chance to do more horror movies, she would be in the conversation of great scream queens because she pulls off her character really well in this. She's got a great tie to Freddy as far as the lore of the movie. She's got a great fear of Jason, and it just comes to the point whenever she's supposed to be the one leading your movie, I feel like she does really effective in the role.
Welcome to my world, bitch!
Now, something else I really want to hone in on as a positive for this movie, because it is a great positive that does not get talked about enough. The soundtrack to this movie kicks ass. It is a great rock, heavy metal soundtrack. I bought the soundtrack back when this movie came out, probably just because I was a Freddy vs. Jason whore, but there is so many awesome metal tracks in this that really just gives the movie a lot of life in a few scenes. You know, a story like this, a movie like this, a showdown like this needs heavy metal in it, and I'm glad they went that route. You know, that's something that Ronnie Yu has done great with, because the Bride of Chucky soundtrack is badass too, but the Freddy vs. Jason soundtrack, I gotta take time to talk about it. Go ahead, look online, Google it, download it, whatever. It's an awesome soundtrack. And the final and biggest positive that I will give to this movie, which you damn better have be a huge positive in a movie called Freddy vs. Jason, is the actual fight between Freddy and Jason. To me, it delivered leaps and bounds better than what I was expecting. It's really creative, it's fun, it's hilarious, it's bloody, it's gory, all the way from the second act whenever you first get Jason put into the dream world and Freddy gets to have his fun kicking the shit out of him in his home turf, to the point when Freddy gets yanked into the real world and now Jason has home field advantage. It was so creative and so fun, and they had so many more elements to it than what you would think. You would think just Freddy and Jason hacking and slashing at each other until they're nothing but bloody bits on the ground, which you do get a lot of that in the last 5 to 10 minutes of this, but all the lead up, like small little battles here and there that lead up to this ultimate confrontation where it is a blow for blow, pound for pound death match where one person is walking away a victor and the other person is walking away a bloody mess. To me, it's the highlight of the movie, it's the reason we all came, and it is the best thing that they executed in this movie. Now, although I love this movie, there is definitely some negatives in Freddy vs. Jason. Now, this was not a negative for me back when I watched it back in 2003, because to be honest, I had never seen most of the Friday the 13th franchise until very recently, when I figured that was a wrong that needed to be righted if I'm going to call myself a horror fan, and now I understand this criticism a lot more, and it is in fact a negative in the movie. Ken Kersinger as Jason. Yeah, he doesn't quite deliver in that role as much as I thought he did in 2003.
Jason. I should have been watching them. Not drinking. Not meeting a boy at the lake.
I deserve to be punished.
We all deserved to be punished.
You know, back when I first saw this, like I said, I liked the character of Jason, but I wasn't a huge fan. To me, that was Jason. Kind of a slow, mindless zombie that's not really all that physically threatening aside from his strength. He's just kind of mindless, just walking around, easily pulled around by Freddy and his little strings. But when I watch it now, after I've seen the entire Friday the 13th franchise, I've seen all of the first 4 movies, which everybody seems to love the most. I've seen the zombie Jason movies. I've seen the bad movies. I understand exactly what people are talking about when they say that Ken Kersinger is probably the worst Jason they've ever seen, because he's just lifeless. You have the Kane Hodder Jason, who is brutal and relentless and just insane force to be reckoned with, which a lot of people thought he should have been in Jason in this movie, and why they didn't get Kane Hodder for this kind of baffles my mind now that I actually appreciate that a lot more. But even back to like the old days, like you get Ted White or Richard Brooker, or I forget his name, but the guy who played him in Part 6, which is probably my favorite, they have a lot more charisma in their silent performance as Jason. Ken Kersinger to me just feels like a stuntman, and that's exactly what he was. He was Kane Hodder's stuntman, who they decided to give him a shot to play Jason for a full-length movie, and he just kind of underwhelms as Jason. He's physically threatening, he's big, and they wanted a bigger Jason, which is probably the reason why they didn't get Kane Hodder, I guess. Doesn't quite make sense to me, but whatever. They were making the movie. But he is kind of a negative in this movie if you're a Jason fan. Being I'm a Freddy fan, it didn't hold the movie back that much for me, but I do notice it a lot more, and I am addressing it. Now, as much as I enjoy most of the human characters, the teenagers, the cannon fodder in this movie, being that they were one of my positives, there is one character who, when I watch this movie now, really kind of holds back the flow and the acting quality of the other guys, the little bit that they have, and that's Jason Ritter. To me, he just does not have that much charisma. He definitely doesn't have his father's screen presence. He is the son of John Ritter. He doesn't have a whole lot of chemistry with Monica Keena, and just some of the lines that he delivers just feels so flat. But my biggest negative with Freddy vs. Jason, which again, just like the Jason flaw, is something that I didn't ever really see, recognize, or acknowledge back in the day when I watched this movie, but it stands out like a sore thumb when I watch it now. I know that New Line really wanted to favor Freddy as far as the fight. They wanted to give him more power than he probably should have had. They wanted to give him a lot more screen time and a lot more presence and charisma than Jason. And they wanted to give Jason all of the screen time as far as the kills and just mowing through people like the cornfield slaughterhouse, which is one of the coolest scenes in the movie. But why the hell does Freddy only kill one fucking person in this movie?
Somebody please wake me up!
You got Freddy Krueger and you don't give him any chance to have any fun with mowing down teenagers. To me, that is a gigantic misstep with this. And if they ever do a Freddy vs. Jason 2, they better right that wrong, because holy crap, I noticed it this time, never noticed it before, and now anytime I watch this movie, I'm going to go, why is Freddy not killing more people? That is ridiculous. As a Freddy fan, to me, that's unforgivable. So, never noticed it before, but that's a huge negative that I walked away with when I watched it this time. Freddy's got to kill people, come on.
She's mine! Mine! Mine!
But with all that being said, guys, I still enjoy the hell out of this movie, even if Freddy doesn't quite get to have as much fun as he deserves. Continuing with tradition in my Nightmare on Elm Street review series, it's time for my favorite scene of Freddy vs. Jason. And honestly, my favorite scene of this movie is the entire opening sequence. Whenever they go into Freddy's backstory and they really show, like, the Robert Englund version of Freddy getting killed off as Freddy Krueger before he became the Dream Demon, whenever they show the different clips of the different movies, whenever he's taking out the kids, and Freddy's giving this great monologue and this great backstory to the entire Nightmare on Elm Street series, all the way to the scene whenever he becomes Pamela Voorhees and resurrects Jason. Everything leading up to the title screen of Freddy vs. Jason is awesome, flawless, one of the coolest things of this entire movie, and I love that entire opening sequence.
When I was alive, I might have been a little naughty, but after they killed me, I became something much, much worse. The stuff nightmares are made of.
So to wrap all this up, guys, I think Freddy vs. Jason is a damn fun movie. It's a blast to go and check out. It's a slasher movie fan's dream. Totally understand if you're a Jason fan and you don't quite feel all the love that I do towards this movie, because at the end of the day, Jason is a little underwhelming. But I'm a Freddy fan. This is a Freddy review series, and as a Freddy fan, this movie delivers in spades. It's gory, carnage candy. The fight is awesome. The teenage characters are pretty serviceable. Some of them are better than others, like Monica Keena, I think, was a great addition. And I just really want to see a sequel to this movie. It might not ever happen, but you know what? I love this movie so much that I want more. I want more. So like I said, if you're a Friday the 13th fan, you may have some issues with this, but if you're a Freddy fan, a Nightmare fan, and you want to see one of the other great times that Robert Englund delivered Freddy Krueger, this is a must-own in my opinion, so definitely go out and buy it. So what do you guys think of Freddy vs. Jason? Did this movie deliver in spades to you, or was it a little bit underwhelming, especially with the amount of build-up it had leading up to 2003 with all the production problems and script rewrites and all of the issues this movie had, and finally coming to the big screen? Do you feel like Freddy and the Carnage Candy made up for the lackluster Ken Krazinger, or do you feel like that was a huge flaw in this that just brings this movie down? Put all of your thoughts on Freddy vs. Jason down in the comment section below, and we'll talk about it. Please like and share this video, and hit that subscribe button on your way out if you're not already a subscriber. That way you get to check out all of my future content. If you want to check out some of my social media links, you can check out Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter down below, and my Patreon page, which is a great way to support my channel and get a lot of exclusive content for you and other patrons' eyes only. And if you want to check out some more of my videos, you can check out a few more by clicking right over here.